Hello traders and welcome to another trading setups breakdown video. In this one I am going to show you all the trades that I took this week, the performance that I have, all the things that I learned, and of course try to provide you with as much value as possible while keeping it simple and providing you with some great insights as well. So pretty much I only traded EU, and I've been getting this question quite a lot. Hey bro, why do you only focus on one pair? I'm gonna tell you why. The first and the biggest reason is that you can make a living from one pair. So if you didn't know this, then definitely question yourself. Do you really need to be following 10 pairs or even 5 pairs? The maximum I would say in order to maintain proper focus, especially as a day trader, the maximum for me is 2 to maximum 3 pairs. All right, and usually within my team, my community, we are mainly focused on EU, GU, AU, and GJ. So those are our specialty. We do not trade minors and any of that stuff. Of course, this depends on the trading style you have. If you are a swing trader or a position trader and you kind of look at a lot of pairs with specific patterns that develop, let's say on the 4-hourly or on the daily, and you do not drop to lower time frames like the 1 or the 5 minute, then of course you can trade 20 pairs. And you can just memorize them, you can set alerts, and if you just know your pattern, then cool. But if you really want to master a pair, and if you really want to kind of make a living from one pair, then definitely you have to master them one by one, because each specific pair has its own characteristics. Some pairs are fundamentally driven, for example USD CAD or USD Swiss, either driven by gold or by oil or by another commodity or another currency. Those are usually the crosses. Euro USD has a very specific behavior as well. GBP USD is a completely different story, and also Aussie USD is a completely different story. So for me, my biggest tip will be, if you really want to zone in on your trading, start from one pair, master it, become consistent at it, and then, for example, once you actually improve your focus, because currently also the second reason why I trade only one pair is because I have other things to do. Other projects. I'm also about to graduate from university, so there are some big projects right there, and I can only focus on one pair. And I just really know, if you ask me right now what is EU doing, or what EU did this week, or what it did last week, I can answer it because I'm following the pair. I know what I expect. I know how the monthly, how the weekly, how the daily looks like without even checking it. And I do think this actually gives you an edge in this extremely competitive market. All right, so you have to specialize on something. So this is my little ramble before we jump into the technicals, and just to answer this question. And of course, if you do not trade EU, then of course still watch the video, because all of those things actually apply to every single pair. And my community also smashed it this week. We traded together a lot because I've been focused on the market this week, and we finished very profitably. And today is NFP, so we chill out. We just are gonna set some potential forecasts, but not really look to engage. All right. So of course guys, if you're new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share every Saturday a weekly outlook and setups, which is amazing. And once per week, I give my best to share an educational piece of content or a trade setups breakdown video, which you're gonna watch right now. So make sure you are subscribed. Turn on the notification bell in order not to miss the future updates. And if you already did, let's jump into the technicals. All right, let's get started. So first of all, I always want to provide you with a little bit of a macro perspective in order to let you know how I actually look at EU and also the DXY. Currently, getting into December and just the recent economic events, we're having the new virus as well. We're having the tapering process. We're having the Fed. We're having the ECB as well with some new monetary policy announcements and state and all of that stuff. So this brings a lot of tension in the market, and also the stock market is starting to shake a little bit. It has been really bullish, but very recently we saw a couple of stocks dipping. The indices are also dropping a little bit, and of course this directly affects the Forex market. But of course the Forex is mainly driven, again, because this is currencies. What are the fundamental part of currencies are interest rates, and of course how the country, the specific country, is doing, right? So if the Eurozone is doing good, Euro goes up. If America is doing good, DXY goes up, and all of those sort of kind of dynamics in the market. But of course, for us as a day trader or as a short-term trader, we have to be really quick to adapt and to really kind of develop a reason, or a reasoning I should say, about where the market could go. And I'm gonna give you more insights on this candle right here, because this was a speech by Mr. Powell and we have some very important announcements right there which pretty much builds the bias for me. But if you remember from the weekly outlook and setups, we started with this big pump to the upside, and I told you that we can potentially expect a pullback into 50% and then a potential new higher high. So this one played out to perfection, and this one was Monday. And my community smashed this long, but I didn't take it because on Monday I'm like, okay, just chill out, just observe the market, see what it provides. And there was one very nice long trade, right? It was pretty much actually on this bullish candle. So the long was taken on this bullish candle, TP was hit, then the market actually returned down, broke below this low, but still managed to maintain and make a new higher high. And then what I also told you is that on the daily, come on, how do you go on the daily? There it is. On the daily, we had this big candle that I told you is the current lower high formation. And as long as we kind of remained below it, I still considered EU to be overall bearish. Although on the weekly time frame, again, as we spoke on the weekly outlook, and tomorrow we're going to also do a monthly analysis, so stay tuned for that. We can potentially expect a slightly bigger pullback towards 1.16, which is this overall range. And then from there, we can also look for longer term shorts. All right. But the market seems to have developed a little bit differently. And what we pretty much had on Tuesday was some massive volume. And if you have a look, actually, we broke above this high, but did we really break? Or did we just liquidity grab above it? And if I give you a little exercise right now, take, where is it? The horizontal line and drop it at the top right there of this week. And what you see on the left is that the market simply reacted from an unretested lower high or supply area. So once I actually saw this one, I was like, cool, we are sellers. And of course, this move has had its purpose. And then it actually broke structure to the downside, which introduced a lot of sellers. And this is where actually after, I think this happened on Tuesday. Since Tuesday, I have been bearish up until now on EU, and I definitely do expect this low to be broken. And if I just quickly jump on the DXY, I actually still have my analysis. And as you can see, it actually did not play out. But I told you that as long as we stay above this daily demand, we're pretty much bullish. And as you can see, we just wicked it, maybe by a pip or maybe even less, but we did not break below it. And then of course we also did the same. We introduced the buyers, we broke structure above, and then pretty much this created a higher low right here. And if I also drop on the 15-minute, which I'm also gonna drop on EU, you can see that the market did a couple of fun stuff. So we had this range, the market manipulated, broke structure right here, created a higher low, and right now we're continuing to push into the highs. Okay, so pretty much what I expect also on the DXY is for it to attack this high right here and to make a new higher high, which means, oh come on, which means a new lower low for the euro. So just building up this context, and right now I'm also gonna start from Monday very quickly. I didn't take any trades on Monday, but I just want to show you what actually happened. So in the morning, I was doing my morning outlook for my community, and I told them that, okay guys, so look at that. So we're having a very nice Asian range right here, and it looks very good. And also, what is the first level that we have below the 50% was this little candle right here, which is also a kind of a rally-based rally approach, kind of a demand. And I told them, cool, well, if we tap inside this area, there could be some potential longs to be taken. And pretty much the setup was also really good, because if you zoom in on the 50-minute, so where was your lower high? It was right here. Why? Because this candle broke to the downside and made a new lower low right there. So actually after this bullish engulfing candle, we had a market structure shift. And then if I drop on the 1 minute right now, which I'm not gonna do for this trade because I didn't, it's your homework actually to do so, there was a beautiful long trade from right there with TP at the Asian high. So that was the profitable trade that my community took. I didn't on Monday. And then of course we returned back into the zone, we consolidated for a little bit, and then pretty much on Tuesday we had this massive rampage into the highs, which is really interesting to break down. So let's have a look at it, and let me actually pull out my first trade for this week. What I also told you guys in the weekly outlook is that I'm going to be looking for this level, which was pretty much an 8-hourly lower high and supply. And I said, okay, cool. So as soon as the market gets inside this level, I will be interested for shorts. The market came in and I started looking for shorts. But again, I was maybe a little bit too early. Also, at that day, I was doing the Tuesday morning outlook for you guys on Telegram. And what I believe I had was a couple of long areas. So I wanted to long the market from here or from there, or the last or like the first level, but the most conservative or the most aggressive, I would say actually, was this one. Okay, and pretty much the market opened right there at 8 o'clock and we just started pushing. So 6 o'clock Asian session closes, or the Asian session range closes, push up, push up, push up, big pump up. So there were no long opportunities to be taken, unfortunately, on Tuesday. So then I was like, cool, I'm gonna be looking for shorts because this is my bias. And we pretty much came absolutely to the extremest level, to the highest level right there. And then I pretty much saw how the 15-minute also shifted. So we have a higher high, we pull back for a new higher low, then we have a higher high with this bullish engulfing candle. Then you can see how we just shift to the downside on the 15-minute. So for me, this was a confirmation that potentially some sellers are being introduced. And I had somebody actually tell me, can you look for trades against the trend? If you just wait for a 15 minutes break of structure, there is your example, right? So there is a 15-minute break of structure, and because you have to pair this one with something on the left. Like if there is nothing on the left to support a potential reversal, then you're definitely trading against the trend, which is very risky. Okay. So, and then pretty much this created a new 15-minute area for me. And as soon as the market got in there, I started looking for my trade. So let me maybe remove a little bit of price. So let's see what happens. So again, there is my 15-minute area, and I only come at the 1 minute as soon as this level is tapped. And then I started to examine it from here. We had a little range being built up, but if you follow the higher lows, no higher low was never broken. So we cannot actually look for shorts at that time. Then we had a very nice pump into the highs. We had a very nice pullback for a higher low, another fake of this high. And also the market came in to tap inside this wick, which is like the extremist point. Maybe it's something on the seconds, a supply level on the second time frame, which of course I'm not gonna do. And then we pretty much, I spotted the market structure shift. There it is. This was the higher low. We shifted the higher low, and then we started to pull back. So there is my first trade taken from right there. And I kept a bigger stop loss because I was like, okay, cool. Well, maybe we can pull back a little bit deeper into these levels and then to potentially shift from there. So the bad thing of that trade is that it was kind of not fully reversed. I was also seeing this one right here, this little demand level, this kind of major higher low, because you can see that this is actually where the momentum kicked in to the upside. And I really wanted to see this break, but of course I saw my pattern, so I pulled the trigger for RAM there. I allowed a bigger stop loss, and then the market just started to range. And my whole team also, because I always share my trades live with the team before I take them, and we usually take them together. And we were really laughing at this one because it was like ranging for quite some time, and we were kind of speculating and joking. And I actually coded that the market is just cooking for us to have a big fat stop loss, and we pretty much had our stop loss, and that was perfectly fine. This is just a loss. And then also, what was the catalyst for this move was the speech of Mr. Powell happening on Tuesday, and new measures for the new virus. And pretty much they said that they're gonna change their tapering process, right? And which means that they're gonna, I believe they said that they're gonna speed it up, which means that they're not gonna pour more money in the economy, which means that the DXY is gonna appreciate in value, because the less dollars there are in the economy, the more expensive the dollars will be, right? Supply and demand. And after this was actually announced, we saw the drop. And if you want to look at it from a technical perspective, once again, this was a beautiful trade to be taken, but I don't trade during such big news. So we had this higher low that made the higher high. Then we started to kind of consolidate, and you can see how the market is failing to make new higher highs. And then we had a drop and a failure of this level, which is pretty much a structure break. The market pulled back, tried to tap the level that actually broke the structure, but couldn't, and then pretty much returned later. And this one was used as liquidity, as a high, because a lot of people will be looking to take a double top from there, or maybe just take a trade from there, or maybe they were already short from right there with their stop loss slightly above, something like this. And of course, then the market just pulled back into this level and just smashed. And that one right here would have been a very lovely trade. The stop loss was 6 pips, and then it just ran to hell. All right. And pretty much the target was a new lower low of the last structure right here. So there is the target, and this one was pretty big, like 1 to 20 or something. But of course, let's not show trades that we haven't taken. And pretty much, guys, I ended this day with a loss on this one. Then I didn't strike on that one, and this was Tuesday for me. So it was not a great start. And yeah, this was still in November, actually. So December didn't yet start. So I was like, okay, cool. November doesn't end nice, but we're going to crush it in December. And pretty much there is the first trade of December right now. Let's break it down. So let me also remove some price action. So how I viewed the market after this massive dump to the downside is cool. So we are having a potential reversal. The market has tapped into this level that I showed you at the beginning. We broke the hourly structure as well. And we also right here, we also shifted the structures. We had a higher high, higher low, higher high, and we shifted right there, which pretty much makes our major high this one. Okay, and this is where I was actually perfectly looking for the market to retest, but we got this wick right here. And then after this week, we had a massive sell-off and also a break of hourly structure and a failure of supply. So pretty much this wick right here on the hour became my entry area. And if I drop it a little bit on the 15-minute, so let's pretty much see. There is our Asian range right there. And just before the Asian range, who was in control? The buyers are still in control because we're just climbing to the highs. We push, higher low, higher high. We pull back, higher low formation. Then we started to chop around. And then pretty much on Frankfurt and London Open. So there is London Open, 9 o'clock for me. I also spotted this little flat highs and this little high, and we very nicely liquidated above this level, and then we just very sharply shifted the structure to the downside. And also we failed this little demand. You can see that we closed with a body close below, and that for me just shouted shorts. And as I kept in mind what was happening from yesterday, I expected a continuation and a break of this level down there. So pretty much this was my my targets, and let's see how I approach the market. So for me, on the 15-minute, this whole candle became the zone that I wanted to look for. And as soon as the market tapped inside, I started to look for shorts. But I was fully aware, because always, guys, so another takeaway from this video is there is always something within wicks. Okay, so if you have a big wick like this, I usually take it like 50%, and usually 50% of the wick gets filled. So I was fully aware of this, and this is why I was very aggressive with my partial, because I knew that there was a speech going on at 4 o'clock as well. You can see 16, another testimony from Powell, and this is basically the market drove the market there. The market drove the market there. This was really wrong, but yeah, just price went deeper into this area. Mr. Powell started testifying, and then once again we had the sell-off, which later actually continued to drop to the downside and fulfilled our targets. But let's see how I executed on the trade. There is pretty much our shift. I also spotted a 1-minute level right here to use for further confluence. And the market was first of all building the flat highs, which I always like seeing before taking a trade. We had a very sharp push into the highs. We had a pullback for a higher low. We had a new higher high. Pullback, the market right here actually attempted to make a new higher high. Have a look, guys. So read the candles. Don't do candlestick formations, but just try to understand what the candles are doing and what is the behavior. The market taps inside and leaves this wick right there. This wick means that the market pushed down, then tries to push up. Sellers came in, then buyers tried to push up, create a bullish engulfing candle, but then the sellers say no, and we just snap to the downside and cause this break of structure. Then what I also wanted to see is how this major demand was gonna fail. The demand failed, and I was like, cool, I am shorts. And at that time, I wasn't at my charts to look for a complete confirmation entry, so I set my limit at this zone right here and my stop loss above for 3.7 pips. And the market perfectly came in and tapped me inside. So this was my trade right there, stop loss above. And I shouted in the team as well. And I told them, cool guys, so if you want to take a conservative entry, wait for the market to fail and to shift structure. So we have a higher high, higher low, failure to make a new higher high, which is a MSS, market structure shift. And then we just broke below all of that demand and all of that structure. And there is your second trade for a potential scale in, and you can keep the stop loss above. You can keep it, of course, tight with 1.5 pips, or you can just, yeah, do 2 pips, whatever you like to do. But that was the scale in. So knowing that we didn't fully come inside this level, and also this trade was taken at 12 o'clock, which is pretty much when the market starts to range, I was aware and I was a little bit more aggressive with my partials. So I took 30% right here, which pretty much covered my loss from yesterday. So I was above break even and in slight profits. And then at the 50-minute zone, which was right here, let me show you if this one is going to load. There was a 15-minute zone right here, which is pretty much this one, which was not really important because it did not cause anything. But for me, this was an important demand area. So I was also satisfied with the risk to reward around 6.3. I think it was a little bit more, so maybe my stop loss was 3.6 or 3.5, I don't know. But yeah, this is where I actually exited the position at 80%, at 1310, you're gonna see on my stats. And yeah, I'm gonna call myself a bit lucky on this one because I very simply kind of got filled on this wick right there, and then the market just reversed and hit the remaining of my position at break even. And yeah, I banked very nice profit on this one because it was a nice 6.5R. Of course, with partials it wasn't, but of course you get the point. Then the market comes inside right there at the top to again come in at the extremist point, and we do the same thing, guys. It just rinse and repeat. Where is this thing, the brush? We have the market going in an uptrend, creating higher highs and higher lows. So it was a little bit tricky right here because this could have been a break, and then you could have taken a short from here. You get the reaction, but then you get stopped. So then where is your new higher low? It's right here. This higher low got broken. You have the retest, lower high formation, and then we just flushed to the downside. Very, very, very nice. But I didn't take this trade because it was late. I don't trade at like after 4:30 very rarely, and this is only gonna be if I didn't take anything during the day. I'm gonna follow up on those late hours. So this was pretty much my trade from here. Could have taken this one as well. And yeah, then pretty much what my targets were. I was planning to actually leave the market to run first at this target right there. This was the first target. And then the second target is still this one, which I'm very curious to see if today is going to reach, or if we're actually going to have to come inside. There is a very big area on the left. Oh yeah, it's actually this one that we can tap. But I'm going to share my breakdown actually in a bit to see if I can get NFP right. So guys, this was my other trade, and then going on to Thursday. So same stuff. Let's have a look. Let's drop to the 50-minute. After knowing that the market is bearish, so we have to find, okay, where do we want to sell from? Well, yesterday we tried to sell off from here. The market went into the highs, created this high, and then we just dropped to the downside and also broke structure. Oh man, we broke structure right here. And so for me, the level to look for shorts was this one right here, because this is the last area where we actually shifted the structure. If you look carefully, again, zoom in guys on the details, we have a push, higher low, higher high, we pull back, we reacted from the higher low. Again, have a look at the candle formations. We reacted from the higher low, we tried to put up a new high, but then we created the shift and then we dropped. So for me, this is the level to be looking for shorts, okay? My team actually smashed some longs in the morning on this one on the way up, but I wasn't at the charts at that time. I wasn't at the charts for London Open, so I skipped the longs, but there were some really nice longs to be taken actually from here. Then when I was in the charts for New York, the market has already come into this area. We have manipulated above the Asian highs, and it was time for entries. So let's have a look what happened. The first trade was a loss. And it wasn't the textbook trade because, again, did I have my level tapped right here at the 50%? What I simply did is I took this whole level, this whole buy to sell, and I wanted to see a 50% tap of this zone. But for the first entry, we didn't tap. And if I just drop a ray like this on the second one, we pretty much came inside of the second one, which is why I also strike on this trade. But the first one, I just listened to my rules. Once again, we were in an uptrend. We created this high right there. Then the market fails to put up a new high, creates the MSS formation, the shift. We tried to push lower. We failed to continue higher. We created this buy, and then we sold off, and we also broke structure right there. For further confluence, we had flat highs right here. So I took my first trade from there. I tried to not keep a very tight stop loss. I tried to enlarge it a little bit, but of course the market smashed me, and we took this trade with the team as well. So we all lost it. We're all transparent and we all trade together. So this was the first loss for the day. But then of course I was bearish. So I was looking for further development, and this is where we had it. And this is where I actually got it slightly bit wrong, because you have to always look on the details. So guys, if you, again, this is why you have to focus on one pair, because if you really want to look at those details, you cannot see them by trading 5 pairs at the same time. So where is your high low? Right here, I'm going to ask you right now, where is the high low on the 1 minute? pause the video and try to identify it. So for me at that point, it was this one, but it's not that one. Let's see why. So this one originates from here and breaks the structure and creates a new higher high, sorry. The market pulls back right there, creates a higher low, and then pushes and makes a new higher high. Okay, so just following this sequence, where is your major higher low? It's this one right here, right? So pretty much this one broke, we pulled back, and then we broke the secondary one. Okay, but what actually broke the most recent higher low? It was this structure right here, or this supply. But pretty much I consider that the supply that broke the structure was this one, and hence why I actually took my trade from here. And there is my team. I always also learned from the guys inside. They said, no, this is the one that actually broke, and this is where they actually took the trade. I had a member that took the trade with a 1.8 pip stop loss, and the majority took it with 2, but my stop loss was 4.2. So this is, guys, the next trades that I took from here, and I kept the stop loss above just in case that the market actually came inside this level. And yes, then we continued to follow up with structure, and what I did is I took a partial right there, just because the market started to range. I took a partial 1 to 3 to cover this loss and to, of course, emerge above break even for the day. And then guess what? I went break even because I think there was something else happening with the news, and the market came, tagged me out right there. And then guess what? It never hit stop loss. So I am potentially going to refine also my plan because I trust my setups, of course, and sometimes if I get in at the right place, the market will never actually break above my high. And so pretty much I missed out on a very nice trade that hit the target so perfectly. I wanted to hold this trade down here to this low, which was a nice 10-hour trade, but I got started at break even and with little profit from the partial. And of course, my members that took it with a tight stop loss, they managed to nail a very nice trade. One of them exited with a 1 to 6, I think, because the trade was taken from here, and at the lows right there was a 1 to 6. So why wouldn't you take a 1 to 6? It's a no-brainer, right? And so, guys, this is actually my final day of trading. Well, we don't know still because today is NFP. This was Thursday, right? But the main profit was made on yesterday, and right here I had very little profits as well from the partial, and of course I had a loss before that. The partial covered the loss, and yeah, just a little bit above. Okay, so if I delete everything right now, today is Friday. It's also NFP. It's also the first week of the month. So pretty much what I still expect is that the market is in this whole range right here. Since we created this one, we pulled back and we have been raging for quite some time. But if you look on the details, still there is this level that hasn't been tapped right here, and we have generated throughout the week this sort of flat highs right there. And yeah, then the other thing is that if we just continue following the continuation, there is my second area for potential shorts. So still, guys, I am short on euro, so I'm throwing my bias out there. I am short bias, also looking at the fundamentals. I do think that the dollar is gonna appreciate in value. So pretty much my outlook for now is to see the market tap inside this level and reverse, or eventually, if it's actually gonna create a big manipulation, tap inside this level, maybe even fake a little bit and then still flush to the downside. I personally do not see the longs. Currently, my team are taking some longs in the morning from here. Push down right now, it's low probability trade, but for me right now the outlook was to potentially look for shorts from either of those levels. And of course I'm awaiting NFP and looking to see what is gonna happen today. But of course, guys, be careful, be patient, and don't blow your capital in NFP. If you had an amazing week, don't make it worse, and if you had a bad week, again, don't make it worse. All right, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this trading setups breakdown video. Let me know if you did down in the comments. Tomorrow we do the weekly outlook. I'm gonna also do some monthly analysis, and I'm also gonna pick one giveaway winner. So make sure that you are commenting on the videos and getting those heart badges. And yeah, we hope you guys had an amazing week. Wishing you a relaxing weekend ahead of you. Trade safe today, and speak to you on my next video.